As soon as these guys are ready, we'll be hopping into the game. So again, thanks for joining us for the EG Masters Cup. It's Sunday, December 19th. The holiday is right around the corner, or for some holidays already in progress. I hear the countdown going. We're going to be hopping into this game. Qxc might wrap it up in 3. I bet you that he'd want to, because he could have a very long day ahead of him.
Yeah, if Qxc wins this, his first opponent is going to be EG Machine, so that is going to be a very exhausting follow-up there. Looks like Qxc spawning in the bottom right as the red Terran. In the bottom left, we have DesRow, as the blue Protoss. And as we see on the mini-map, you'll notice a little happy face at the south end. That is the expansion lying between them. Destructible rocks on either side, and this is honestly very, very interesting for this particular matchup because it's ambiguous who that helps or who that hurts.
Yeah.
Really depends on what style the players are employing.
Now, we did see, and of course I'm going to draw a blank as exactly which Terran brought it to that, but we did see the back rocks used yesterday in these exact spawning locations. I believe it was on the top, though.
Oh, and it was Zhou versus Og.
Yes, that's right.
Zhou killing a million probes with 2 Banshees and then just blasting down the back door. Really the person who has more units to be able to exploit that back door a lot better.
And there's got to certainly be some good timing. I believe he also had some Hellions move forward to to harass the front, which put then sentries and stalkers out of position. So looks like we're starting to get going here now, and our opening moves are being made as the gateway and the barracks goes down for both of these players.
And there's the cross-map scout by DesRow. A lot of people wonder why scout the cross-map positions instead of the close positions. Well, if you scout cross-map, there's a little bit higher of a chance that you will see any sort of proxies in the middle. It's very easy to just hug the south side and miss someone who's proxying up at the top. Cross-map scouting, the easiest way to account for that. So Qxc is throwing down his barracks and gas, and notice that that probe cannot quite get to that SCV.
Yeah.
It looks like it's having a little bit of trouble. Love that placement. Qxc does pull off an SCV anyways, but might even end up lifting that supply depot again. Nice building micro.
Yeah, that's really solid by Qxc, and I love to see everyone has their own little philosophy and ways of going ahead and changing the way that they build their base, and that's just one of those unique things about all the players. Cybernetics core is down for the Protoss now, and well underway.
Oh, there's the gas steal going down by DesRow. Now, this is increasingly common, as we've seen in Control. Doing this, I believe, in 100% of his games. Continuing to bounce around at the back side. I worry if DesRow is going to try to follow this up with a core warp gate, because if you're doing this, your opponent is almost certainly going to be making more Marines. So it looks like Qxc does manage to maybe get this probe, or is DesRow actually going to get out? Oh, that's actually an awesome little moral win right at the outset.
Yeah, that was very nice. Meanwhile, the assimilator is being targeted. SCV's going to come in, sees the chrono on these gateways. Zealot is out. He'll try to chase him around. And warp gate research is underway. The gas steal didn't really come in too handy last time. We still saw eventually Cloak Banshee come out of Qxc. So, you know, whether that gives him any comfort or just is something that he does in his normal style of play, Qxc is going to go for a pretty fast command center here off of this barracks, and now the factory going down.
Wow, that's actually an interesting ordering to that. I think that this might be the only map where you can really comfortably do this sort of play, relying on only Marines to keep you alive, because if you plant a bunker here, you're pretty much covered from most early pushes. Looks like DesRow doing the same little expand ideology, doing my ever-so-favorite one Nexus, one gate expand. One of the greatest openings, I think, in PvP. Probe tries to poke up and scout. Let's see if Protoss saw that command center. And he does. Wow, that's going to help a lot.
Now, what are you thinking, Day, when you see two players not really go for units or power or anything at the beginning, go for the expansion? What kind of game do you think we can expect to see based off the fact that both these guys want to play off two base?
Well, I would really like to see the players exploit the fact that the other player is expanding. And I know that kind of sounds silly, but rarely do you get two people who devote themselves fully to this sort of early expand play. And what you'll see really good players do is sneak in some upgrades or begin some really aggressive harass. What you see the weaker players do is they just sort of treat it like it's a normal old 2-base versus 1-base, and they start macroing really hard, and they have a whole bunch of units that can't really do much of anything. It does look like Qxc going to be going for the fast Banshee play, almost identically to how he did in the previous game.
Yep, as the starport will begin to land. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see more units coming out for the Protoss. We had a robo facility drop down and a second gateway. So right now, only producing off of that single warp gate, but now we'll have a second one up, and we'll see what that does to his production. Nexus is done. Of course, we've got pro production coming out of there. And also, the Protoss does have command of the middle. But here comes Qxc with an SCV making his way across map. Still actually has not lifted that command center yet, so he's only making SCVs onto his main mineral line.
It looks like Qxc has no idea that this expansion is even down. He's getting awfully close, but... Oh, did he actually end up seeing that? No, he didn't end up seeing it. So this actually makes sense as to why Qxc hasn't decided to move out and expand quite yet. He's really waiting for enough units now that he has that one Banshee out. He's going to be moving pretty aggressively towards this Expo so he can harass and distract.
Yep, and Cloak is going to finish just in the nick of time for him. Observer just passed by the way. They just passed like 2 ships in the night, but there is a second Observer coming out right now, and it will be perfect timing because just as that Cloak hit, the Banshee will likely cloak up, and the Observer will be there to stop him.
And it looks like Qxc seems to have seen the ripple of that Observer because he is not engaging, not going to try to suicide in. Expo up for Qxc, more barracks being added, clearly going to be going for a little bit of a macro late game, even getting the Raven there to help with some early push. But what I really love that DesRow is doing is a double forge in his main. There's the Cloak, and oh, with 10 hit points left. But this double forge is going to be very scary.
Yeah, right now going for ground weapons and armor right now, so he's going to pump out those upgrades. Right now, Qxc, he's got a decent army just at the front. The Raven is now out. And did we just still have the 2 gates? Yeah, 2 gates and nothing else coming out of the Robo facility. So maybe the Robo simply 3, thank you, simply for those observers. Make sure that wasn't going to happen again.
And you know, this is a great example of what I was talking about, of a player exploiting the fact that his opponent is early expanding. I mean, DesRow knew that this command center was coming down, so how does he respond? Low on gateways, and then getting double forge upgrades, and immediately following it up with this Twilight Council, so he can get perhaps +2/+2 upgrades, or sell it with leg speeds, just something tech-focused. Very much so like this play.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool as well, and a little unique based off of some of the play that we've actually seen here in this matchup. We do have an Immortal now coming out of that Robo. Over on Qxc side, continuing to produce units out of, looks like 4 barracks, and then the starport. We got Banshees coming out, so an additional one. I haven't seen any other. I guess that's the only one. He didn't make any other before that, so except for the one that got killed.
Yeah, we do see the stim and the combat shield coming out right now on these barracks. There's the other Banshee hanging out over there with the Marines and Marauders. Okay. We do have an engineering bay about halfway finished with the +1 attack upgrade, but as we see, the +1 attack and +1 armor for DesRow have just now finished. He's getting the Zealot leg upgrade. Would love to see +2/+2 come out just because that would be so unorthodox. Oh, there they are coming down right now, and the Zealot with leg speed. Notice this is a no Templar, no Colossus play, just all ground units being upgraded like crazy.
Ooh. And here comes a push by Qxc, moving out to the center of the map. He has 2 Banshees out there. Let's just take a look at what the Protoss has right now. A few sentries, some Zealots out. He's got 5 gateways to work off of right now. And this will be interesting. The timing of all of this that's currently being upgraded along with another Immortal could determine whether or not he will survive this push.
Does look like he's building pylons around the outskirts. We'll continue to warp in. Love this pylon placement by DesRow because there is that command center warping in, but this probe hasn't spotted anything yet. A drop from Qxc at the same time, but it looks like DesRow is a little bit more prepared than he was in previous games. There are the Stalkers. He needs to pull them back, and he does so successfully. But there's the stim. Qxc picking these Stalkers off, and now the Banshees and Raven coming into the backside.
I really like this. Meanwhile, he could attack by the front, but he's going to continue to take out these units. The entire army of DesRow has to move out to take care of exactly what is going on here. Zealots are going to move to the front, try to take out the remaining Marauders, and then he's got to get rid of those Banshees, but will not get any of that Air Force. Meanwhile, here comes the main at the front.
And he's stimmed, and he's just target firing the Nexus. DesRow with a key misstep loses the Nexus. Qxc is going to be a little bit low on stim, but he will retreat without really taking any losses at all. There's the rescan. He sees how many forces are there. Qxc just in unbelievable position. His dropship play, phenomenal, just distracting everything. +2/+2 will not even get to see the light of day for DesRow, as his probes and stalkers are doing everything they can to hold this off. And it looks like DesRow may have been able to see the end of the tunnel today, but Qxc is continuing to macro and is up at 121 food.
Yeah, I think that we can probably go ahead and call that GG. Really hard to recover off this. Keep in mind, Qxc also has that third base happily running away. He's still got these two Banshees, the Raven and the Medevac, floating around. So right now, a huge disadvantage for DesRow. Really just a remarkable strategic attack by Qxc. Using that back, getting rid of a lot of stalkers that were in the back, and then just kind of pushing forward with that main army. Very, very nice, and it looks like he might go in for a killing blow here.
Now, DesRow's not overreacting at all. He's not panicking and trying to do some sort of big counterplay. He's in a rough spot, but he's playing it out very calmly still. He does have 2/2 upgrades on his Zealots and Stalkers. Only 1/1 upgrades for Qxc. Generally, you end up seeing the Terran out-upgrading the Protoss, so this is a nice little twist, but I mean, DesRow had just had those units a little bit better positioned. He could have just force-fielded the top of his ramp. And Qxc sees it as a small force. He does the stims, picks off one stalker immediately. Zealot's trying to dart forward, but that is all she wrote.
Yeah, that is. And, you know, Qxc, he already put his stamp of victory on this game. Another command center going down at its turn, and there it is. GG, well played. As DesRow is simply outplayed by Qxc. A very, very, very nice matchup. Qxc is definitely one of those players who you can just see constantly improve from the player that he was in the beta. And getting a lot more confidence as well just because of his tournament play is a great example of it.
Yeah, I mean, what was so impressive to me is the fact that DesRow did some pretty aggressive openings in those first two games, and Qxc was able to hold them off pretty comfortably. In particular, in Game 2, the way that he defended that Void Ray attack that looked really scary, but still calmly controlling that Banshee, very, very nice. But then we also got to see DesRow play really a very, very, very solid, smart opening on Shakura's Plateau, but Qxc is just so good with those dropships and the Banshees and the Ravens. That's pretty unusual. Generally, you see a Medevac pop in to try to do some damage, but making it really aggressive, causing that one little bit of panic by DesRow. I mean, if DesRow didn't overreact, he would have been in a great position going into the later stages, but Qxc is so good at forcing mistakes.
There was one other, you know, forcing mistakes, and it's a good point. At one point in the initial battle at the ramp leading to the natural of DesRow, I thought a force field was thrown down that actually made it a lot worse for him. His Zealots basically pipelined into death, and just not the greatest placement of that force field, though. But he did, you know, play well, and for a fairly unknown player, at least on the tournament circuit, a little bit of experience under your belt can go a long way.
Yeah, and here's a look at the brackets for any of you who were potentially confused by our initial description of what was going on. We are beginning with that round of 16 match, DesRow versus Qxc. Since Qxc did go 3-0, it means we have EG Machine against ROOT.Qxc right now.
Yeah.
And then after that, the winner of that match gets a little bit of a break as we pop on over to VT Blur versus Starlife, but then we're going to be doing both semifinals in a row.
Yeah, either way, the way that this bracket is going to sort of sort itself out, you've got Qxc versus EG Machine next. That's going to be phenomenal. TVZ. And then Slush is the guy waiting to fight the winner of that. So we could see either a ZVZ in the semifinals or another ZVT featuring Qxc and Slush. Of course, Machine has been playing remarkable in this
Oh,
competition.
yes.
I really feel like of a lot of the games that people are talking about that happened in day one, the initial Hydra build on Scrap Station, I still see a lot of people just kind of talking about it, and really good. So I'm excited for this next one because Qxc looked incredibly solid in that last matchup.
This honestly could be the finals. Like, this is just going to be an astoundingly good match. But you know what's really exciting to me is that the finals, no matter what,